Hello there. What's going on, everybody? Today we're going to be talking about X-Wing Epic for X-Wing 2.0. A little bit more about Epic battles, but I want to focus on the wing tool today and talk about like what it looks like, what we do know, and a lot of the stuff we don't know. And I'll do a little speculation on there and how cool it could potentially be. Also want to remind you guys, there is a new round of the giveaway. This is a real big giveaway that I'm doing right now, and this is specifically for the Star Wars Celebration exclusive Maul and Obi-Wan in the Celebration packaging, 20th anniversary Phantom Menace, all new Obi-Wan, Maul hard to find, really cool holographic packaging. All of this stuff. I will ship this. It's eligible worldwide as well. So all you have to do is be a subscriber and leave a comment on this or one of my videos. It's as simple as that. Let me know if you're looking forward to X-Wing Epic Play. All right, and let's go ahead and just jump right in. So this is kind of exciting. So the wing tool, as we saw at Celebration, is going to allow you to fly ships in formation. It's going to allow, a lot of speeding up of what basically was the biggest problem in Epic 1.0, which was that the game took forever. You got all these different dials to set, all these different ships. Amazing thing now is that you're going to be able to move them all as a wing with the wing tool, and here they're showing an example. Now this, I'm going to talk about this image first because they haven't really done the full-blown article yet, so we don't have all the information out there. But one of the things that we do have is what looks to be a 4-bank turn. If you look on the TIE fighter that's on the outside, and a lot of people saying, is this going to allow for 4 banks? Is this going to allow for new maneuvers? I don't believe that's the case. They've given no indication that they're creating all new maneuver templates. And while I don't necessarily have a problem with them doing maneuver templates like on its own, I think that would just be a little bit too complicated and would kind of eventually lead down this path of them making new cardboard that certain players now are required to buy into, because how long until the new maneuvers would make its way into the regular game? So I don't think we're going to see all new maneuver templates, but what I do think is that it's just going to be part of doing, like, this is just that entire wing doing, a 3-bank and not necessarily somebody doing a 4-bank or a 2-bank. This is the whole unit as a whole doing a 3-bank, and because they're flying in formation, that's just one of the little benefits you're going to get. Now this is for Epic Play. Now Epic Play isn't going to be something like that's, strictly tournament-centric and highly meta and very competitive. Epic has always kind of lent itself towards being a more casual, friendly, fun format that's something to do outside of your standard league or tournaments or competitive nature, something a little bit more fun. Not to say that they can't still do tournaments with it, but I don't think you need to worry about a ship being able to do a 4-turn, because the whole unit is not doing a 4-turn or a 4-bank or anything like that. It's really just doing a 3-bank here. So I do want to kind of clear that up. The only template we see here is the 3-bank, and everybody else is just moving along this line. So what is this wing tool? Now the wing tool is pretty cool, but you can see it's got little notch spaces in there for fighters to fit in behind it, but there's also notch spaces for fighters to fit in front of it. So you could have something like this, when it does look like it's going to be about the size of a 4-straight template. This was just me kind of lining it up, and I'm like, that looks about right. I think it's about a 4-straight. So if you're looking to kind of plan out how you think things are going to go, you're going to use this 4-straight to kind of line everybody up. Now, obviously, it looks like Darth Vader here is the leader. So they're lining the template up from Darth Vader's base, and then, moving basically just him, then putting the wing tool down and lining everybody else up. So it looks like your leader is going to have to be in the middle. So in this case, I've got Iden Versio in the middle. Maybe I would just move everything from her. We don't know if the leader has to be in the back or in the front, but it does allow for a lot of interesting things. For example, up to 6 fighters in one particular formation, which is really amazing, because now you can get a whole TIE swarm that is going to move with one dial. And I mean, I'm just a really big fan of how this will end up looking. First off, what is this going to mean for the 8-player game? Well, like they talked about, that they're going to support up to 8 players with multiplayer, which is phenomenal, because now everybody can have their own entire swarm. Let's say you had 8 players each running one of these wings. Now you can have 6 times 8, 48 ships on the board, and it can take as long as a normal game, because if you only have to set one dial, that's only 8 dials being set across the whole entire map. Now that's a whole lot of reasonable dial setting, in my opinion, because normally you'd have to set 48 dials. Now you're bringing it down to only 8 dials. Any game that's had 4 ships versus 4 ships has known that that's a pretty reasonable amount. It'll take a little bit, take a little bit longer than a 3v3 or a 2v3 game, but it's a whole lot faster than just a 1v1 where one of us is running an actual swarm. So that's going to be actually a very, very reasonable amount of dial setting. So it's going to make the games go faster. Now, what we don't know is how many attack dice. Are we going to have to roll all of their attacks individually? I would imagine if you're only going to be setting 1 dial, you'll probably only be making 1 attack. And it may be that you take the leader's attack and you add, maybe 1 die for every squadron that's there, or maybe half the attack pool rounded down for or something like that for every other squadron that's there. For every other, I'm using the word squadron because they're kind of going to fly as a squadron, but also it's something we kind of borrow from Armada. Now, are they going, as you lose fighters, you're gonna pick them up and take them off? It looks like it has the capability for you to actually like pick up a fighter as your wing kind of shrinks. So very similar to something we see in Star Wars Legion, where as a unit starts taking damage, minis fall down. Now you have less dice to roll back in counterattack. So that's going to be something very, very interesting. And that's kind of what I'm predicting. I'm predicting there's going to be an aspect of, oh, all right, we've taken some damage, so let me take 2 ships off because I took a whole lot of damage in that last fight. But I still have my squadron. We're still moving. You may have to reform. So or there may be a rules kind of like where in Rune Wars, you had to take people off of the back first. That may be the case. You may have to take people off of the leaders first. I imagine, or your leader actually rather, will probably be the last person that that has to die. I think that's just again, this is all speculation, but it's things that just seem reasonable. So, I'm a big fan of that. I think that's going to be really cool. I think you can get some really big games, and they can be played really, really fast this way. So, how are you going to move them? Now, one of the biggest questions is, how are dials going to work? Well, they just say you're going to set 1 dial. So, which dial do you set? Are you going to get a special dial for a wing? Maybe that'll be the case. Maybe because, you're going to have different ships flying together. And they did show let me go back up, because in the initial example, you do have a TIE Advance flying with TIE fighters. So you are allowed to have mixed builds. So let's talk about mixed builds for a second here. In normal fighting, it makes sense to have a squadron flying together because they all have the same capabilities. And so you're not, you can keep them in formation because they all can turn at the same rate. They all can go to the same speeds. They all can go equally slow or equally fast. So you really don't want to have a whole lot of mixed build fighters, just because you'll find that this B-wing can only go this fast, so that means our A-wings have to slow down, and so you're not really able to take advantage of everybody's capabilities if you run a true alphabet squadron. So in a case like this, what I expect is that they will allow you'll have to use probably the leader's dial, but at the same time, you'll probably only be able to use movements that are common amongst every single squadron in the entire wing, every single fighter. So, for example, if your TIE Advanced has a 1 forward, but your TIE fighters don't have a 1 forward, well, you can't do a 1 forward. You can only do things that are common amongst all of them. So I expect it might look something like this. Now, I'm using a separatist dial in this case, but I've blanked out. Well, you know what? We don't have a 3S loop on both dials, so I can't do the 3S loop on this one. Now, this could end up getting a little bit complicated, but you just may have to have all the dials ready. Additionally, one thing that I would expect is that if a maneuver is blue, let's take the 2 bank on the right. Now, that's blue, so we can do a 2 bank and clear strats, but on the left, you've got a 2 white. So I imagine you would have to increase whatever maneuver to the highest difficulty that it is amongst all of your fighters. So that may mean that if you do a mixed enough squadron, you may find yourself only being able to do things like a 2 straight and a 2 bank. Like if you really wanted to combine 6 completely different fighters, you're going to be held to the lowest common denominator amongst all of those. Again, only speculation, but I think this would make sense, and this would also encourage people to lean more towards less diversity in their squadron because of the fact that, well, if I run all TIE fighters, I can actually get my hard 1 turns. Whereas and I can still do a 4 straight that and I can still get these blue maneuvers, and I can still get this S loop. Maybe you'll be able to do S loops, or there may be a special rule that says you're not allowed to do S loops at all. Maybe for red maneuvers they'll just be one straight up like K turn or something like that. So I think there's a lot of potential here for ways that they can do it. I kind of see them, if I were doing it, that's where I would start. I would start by saying something along the lines of, the most difficult move amongst all dials that shares in common is the one that you have to do. So if everybody's got a 2 straight, but it's blue here and it's white there, it'll have to be white. Or if one guy has a 2 straight that's red, then I don't think any ship in the game has a 2 straight that's red. But my point would still stand. Well, that's a really tough ship to fly. So if you put that in your squadron, everybody has to slow down to that one's level. So again, running all of the same type of ship would at least let your whole wing fly with the same type of capabilities. So that's kind of how I envision it will go. But I would love to hear what you guys think. How much are you looking forward to Epic and X-Wing? I think it's going to be so much fun, and being able to get that many different people in one giant game without having to set 50-something dials is really going to help speed up the game and just make all of the admin stuff that you have to do in between rounds fly by. So I think it's going to be super fun. Especially if it's just one giant attack with maybe like 7 or 8 dice from this whole wing firing at a whole other wing. Could be really, really cool. I can't wait to hear more. And of course, stay tuned. Make sure you subscribe, click that bell for alerts. I will be bringing more information as it becomes available. May the 4th is just around the corner, so maybe they'll have some new news for us. That would be very exciting, wouldn't it? All right, guys, I want to thank you all so much for watching, and as always, have a great day.